What's up, y'all? It is 2:53. It is 2:53 in the morning, and I just could not sleep. And I had this idea for a video in my mind, just talking a little bit about my anxiety. I kind of started with a video that I posted a day or two ago. I wanted to focus a little more in this video about my journey as a Christian, trying to figure out what to do with things like medication for clinical anxiety. I was diagnosed with clinical anxiety and depression in December 2018. Before that, for a long time, I tried everything to just cope. Prayer requests, fixing my diet, working out excessively, going to sleep and sleeping a ton. I tried literally everything to cope with what I was feeling, but it just felt like the darkness would not lift. So I'd been in counseling for years by that point. And my counselor and I worked through so much of my childhood trauma and so many of the hard experiences I had growing up. And while there were so many wins through counseling, I'd still experienced so many losses during that time. After it felt like we were at a dead end, we decided to talk about the topic of medicine. I know in some religious and even non-religious circles that medicine is very frowned upon. Having to take medication for something like a mental illness probably means that you just didn't pray enough or you didn't try hard enough. Now, coming from a family that definitely did not talk about mental health at all, I felt similar ways. The idea of medicine just made me nervous. I found myself even questioning the idea of it. Am I really feeling that bad enough to have to go on medicine for mental illness? After a while, I just didn't want to keep feeling like I was feeling. And I recognized that it was okay to not be okay, that even as human beings, we all need help. Medicine is a common grace, which means that God has given that gift to humanity freely, regardless whether or not you're a Christian, to help so many people walk through the hardship of mental illness. So after a lot of counsel and prayer, I went on medicine. Those next few weeks were some of the hardest weeks of my life. Mood swings, adjustment period, dosage control, and all of that happening while I was trying to make the biggest job transition decision of my life. And now, 4.5 years later, I'm here, still on medication. So if you're curious, you may be wondering, what was my experience with medication? So I'll put it like this: my lows weren't as low as before. When a bad day or a bad moment or a hard memory would pop up, I wouldn't sink deep into that valley of despair that I would before, which is so incredible, and I thank God for it all the time. But my highs weren't as high. And that pushed me to even reconsider taking medicine around the time of my wedding so that I could feel all of the joy that I wanted to feel on that big day. So while I hate what mental illness has done physiologically to my body, I am so thankful to have Jesus with me in the midst of it. I do not know where I'd be without him. Because Jesus lived and died and conquered death, I know that I can face tomorrow even in my broken body. And because I know that Jesus lives again, I know that I will live in a perfect, glorified body. And in that body, I know that I'll never have to ask again, is this what normal feels like? I'll never have to question if that was the highest my highs could go. They'll always be there. And I'll never have any lows again. Until then, I'm waiting just like you for Jesus to come and restore this broken down house of a body. Isaiah 40:28-31 says, "Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God. He never becomes faint or weary. There is no limit to his understanding. He gives strength to the faint and strengthens the powerless. Youth may become faint and weary, and young men stumble and fall, but those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not become weary. They will walk and not be faint." Thanks for hanging with me for a little bit to hear more about my story with mental illness. I'll be sharing more over the next few weeks just about my journey with it. So if this was helpful and you want to see the next videos in this series, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. This is Mitchell Johnson, and I am making content for saints and skeptics.